Ladies, gentlemen, and travelers of all ages, as you are starting your journey in Last Epoch, working your way towards success, you may be finding yourself wondering how you can get into the meat of the game the fastest, and how you can make yourself powerful as quickly as possible to make getting there even faster. Today is all about some quick tips and tricks that can help out in that process, some a little bit shallower than others, some a bit more in depth, but all guaranteed to make your journey up to endgame just much simpler and let you gain power as quickly as you can. The first one is to not get too bogged down in killing everything around you. You can always see which direction your objective is in Last Epoch on any given map that you're on, and if you just beeline towards this objective, killing anything that happens to be in your way without going out of your way to take out extra stuff, you'll wind up right around the expected level for every area within the campaign the whole way through. Though that said, there are some side quests that you do want to complete. Specifically, feel free to pick all the side quests up as you find them, but as you do so, have a look at your map and then press shift to show your quests. Look at the rewards that these give you, and you can tell instantly if this gives you bonus passive points or idle slots. Both of these rewards are worth doing until you reach each of their maximums, which you can see in the bottom left as well of your map. Other side quests you don't need to worry about at all. Those are the ones that are really important and worth doing. The next tip then is to commit to an actual build of some sort. I don't necessarily mean follow someone else's build guide or anything like that. I just mean actually commit to one thing and try to work out how to make it as strong as you can with the options that you have. For example, let's say you want to have your minions kick ass. Well, let's go deep into one tree of the minions over here. Let's call it the Skeletal Warriors, and you can disable warriors from spawning, which means that you will only have archers from this skill. Not only does this change it dramatically, it also gives you new sources of power and things to play around. Like, I can then force all of the archers to be fire archers and to have multiple shots every time they fire. I can make my mages also do fire damage and then have a chance to shoot multiple fireballs every time they attack instead of just one. There's a lot of customization and synergy that you can go down through the different skill trees, and as long as you make decisions that sort of line up with each other and make sense alongside each other, you can get a hell of a lot done in this game with very little actual input. The other requirement really is our next topic, which is defensive crafting. A lot of the time, especially if you get yourself a loot filter, you won't often have gear upgrades actually show up while you are leveling, but when you do, you can use the runes and the shards that you've been picking up along your journey to really make the equipment defensively stronger as well, as you should never underestimate how much of a difference some defense can make in this game. And to put it simply, if you die, you progress slower, so put a bit of investment into your defenses, progress faster, and simply be more powerful. After all, gear has both prefix and suffix slots for a reason, so make use of those suffixes properly, as they are just there pretty much for defense. Especially as the death log in this game will tell you the enemy that killed you, the attack that they killed you with, and the damage type of the attack that did the damage, so you can see something that killed you did lightning or cold damage, something like that, instantly react and apply the matching resistance to a random piece of gear that you have on, because you can craft anywhere. You don't have to go to a town or anything like that. Then we should talk about these shrines within the game, the glowing pillars that you can interact with for some sort of bonus. Most often these are combat buffs, but they are pretty strong ones compared to the competitor games and their idea of shrines. And the experience shrine especially is worth really going crazy during if you find them, as you can get a lot of bonus XP. Then there are also shrines that give you just straight up gear from them, such as a pile of idols or a pile of shards, or even one just guaranteed drops a unique just for fun. And these can be extremely valuable in themselves. So essentially this is just to say, if you see a shrine pop up on your map revealed from your fog of war, it is pretty much always worth having a quick pop over and visiting this to get whatever boons it could be offering you. On a similar note, if you ever see one of these rune prisons here that pop up, you want to go to one of them as well, as interacting with these spawns in a powerful exiled enemy. If you kill them, they will drop some generally relatively higher tier loot, so they are always worth stopping for if you see one pop up on your map. Then let's talk about some good early practices and habits to get into, the first of which is checking the shop whenever you return to town. This resets occasionally, and oftentimes as you progress through the story, every time that you visit them, their stock will be refreshed, and especially in early stages of leveling, the gear that you buy from here is relatively quite cheap, but also has a chance to be very good if it has any of the affixes that you actually need for your build. On which note, let's talk about the affixes that you probably do need. First and foremost, I recommend movement speed above almost anything else. Most functional builds that you can run within Last Epoch do enough damage on their own to kill anything that you need to without even considering your gear. So the next two considerations then are the speed that you move while doing this and how tanky you are. So movement speed is super important, especially as to an extent it does actually count towards your tankiness too. It's an implicit bonus on boots and also specifically on silver rings as a type of ring, and it can roll on belts as well. So there are multiple sources of bonus movement speed available, but those are easy ways to really boost it, which not only make you physically faster traversal wise, but also makes it easier to dodge those pesky telegraphed attacks that scarier enemies can do. On a similar note to that is bonus health as a stat stat. This, especially at higher ranks, can significantly increase your health pool, and this sort of acts as a catch-all for defense because no matter what your actual other reductions are, or your resistances, or any of your other defensive stats, everything will eventually pull from your health pool. It's the end-all be-all of where damage is calculated, and it scales really well as an affix in the game, which makes it absolutely worth pursuing quite a bit of. Then past that, you want physical resistance, usually as that is a priority. It's the most common type of damage you'll deal with. Void resistance is really good for the midsection of the story and as you get later in the game, and fire resistance becomes relevant pretty quickly too. But eventually, you want all of your resistances pretty much topped up near max anyways for most classes and builds. Then the next tip that I have for you really is to know when and how to use the Gambler NPC. The Gambler will, for gold, give you randomly rolled equipment appropriate for your level. Generally speaking, this isn't really worth it because for similar gold costs, you could buy a weapon that you can actually see the stats on actively at a vendor, or if you have the resources, you can craft the affixes that you want onto an otherwise just okay weapon. But especially along the leveling journey for any class that is focused around weapon damage in any way, you will want to keep your weapons as up to date as possible, as level has significant effects on the damage stat on weapons, and you won't have a massive amount of spare crafting materials while leveling either, so generally speaking, this is the appropriate use and timing for the Gambler. But outside of that, your gold is usually better spent elsewhere as far as getting actual return and upgrades from this money. Then this is a somewhat more niche skill as it applies to any class with companion skills, and while there are multiple companion-based masteries within the game, it doesn't apply to anyone, but if you are playing one of these companion masteries and you don't know about this, it will be absolutely game-changing. It is the ability to press the A key on your keyboard to direct your minions. If you target the ground with this, all of your active companions will move to that location. If you target an enemy, all of your minions will focus attacking that one singular enemy before they rest. It's just a relatively simple concept, but such an absolutely incredibly useful mechanic for builds that focus around the minion AI, especially for directing melee minions out of telegraph attacks on the ground from bosses and things like that. Then finally, my last tip is to quit your day job, or just find a way to rework your hours that you're awake so that you sleep during the evening and then play Last Epoch during the middle of the night or something like that, because right now, these servers are getting absolutely hammered at the more higher traffic times of day, and developers are working on it. All credit to them. Hell, maybe arguably the better alternative to this is just to join the official Last Epoch Discord channel, which is a news channel being actively updated by the developers with every step of information they have able and ready to share, so you can see how the servers are doing on your own whenever you actually want to play. In any case, this last step could be used as to try and plan your playtime specifically for the lower player-based surging areas so you can actually have the smoothest time possible, or just be aware of when these times are by sticking on the Discord. Basically, it's just things are a bit rough right now. They should get better over the next coming days, but if you want to play a lot in the next few days, you need to pick your times wisely. And that pretty much does it for today then, everyone. Just a nice handful of tips on how to get significantly more powerful from the playtime that you do have in the game, getting stronger, faster, as quickly as you can in the best ways possible with the practices laid out to make you even better at getting more stronger in the future as well on your own. I hope you've all enjoyed this then, and hopefully some of this has helped you out in some way for your journey continuing through Last Epoch. Like if you liked the video, subscribe to the notification bell for more, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, stay sweet.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.